Hey everybody, and welcome back to part 2 of my sketchbook tour. So I left off here where I had just purchased a Faber-Castell Pit Artist pen in sepia, and I was experimenting to see the difference between this harsh black ink lining and the slightly more muted sepia ink lining in my plein air sketching. I did some plein air sketches here, again in town, just of buildings around. And I quite liked the look and the texture with the brown pen. This was another plein air sketch. I was in a terrible hurry and it turned out really badly. I can't draw cars. I can't rush. This was a total disaster. And then I picked up a set of watercolor pencils, Crelando pencils, again from Lidl. I found them a little challenging. I don't think at this point I really knew what I was doing. I still don't enjoy watercolor pencils as much as I thought I would. Here I was trying to do the whole picture only with the pencils. I think that was part of where the problem was coming for me. Trying to get these large areas without having like scratchy lines from the pencils in it, and I think I just got a bit frustrated. I tried another one here, and again I kind of got frustrated and didn't even finish it. And then this was just a quick sort of study. I was just trying to catch the shapes and the areas of this image. And here I was trying to make a note for a card that I wanted to make, and I just did a really, really quick sketch on a very, very bad piece of paper, but I decided to keep it to remind me of that. This was a sketch that I made, once again, with the water-soluble graphite pencil. Again, trying to get used to using it, trying to find a way to incorporate it. And then these were once again just attempts without any line work, just with the watercolor. And likewise here, I used the watercolor pencils, and then I used some of the, you can see it a little bit here, some of the metallic paints afterwards on top. And here I again was using the metallic paints to try and catch the gold of the roofs of this cathedral. I did overwork the paper quite a lot here in some of the dark sections, but this was another plein air picture and I had quite a lot of fun with it. These two pictures I was really, really happy with. I think here I was starting to get a lot more comfortable with what I was doing. Again, they were not on the best paper. As you can see, the paper's buckling quite badly, but I was really enjoying them. I was starting to get a bit more of a feel for developing a little bit of shadow and light and kind of contrast within the pictures, and so I was quite happy with these two. Neither of these came out really particularly well. This was quite quick, just a quick sort of sketch study that I did, and this one, I liked the concept of what I was doing in the middle here, and then I started adding the things on the outside and they didn't work the way that I wanted, and then I went in with ink on top of it and made it even more of a mess. This one I was really unhappy with. And then here, these were both quick tutorials from YouTube. I was just trying to loosen up a little bit because all of my stuff I tend to get very involved in the small details, and here I was just trying to force myself to loosen up, to make big strokes, big gestures, and to just catch the idea of the image with bold colors. This was another one of those tutorials from YouTube. And here I was also trying in my own way to start getting the initial shadows and things. I was very much wanting to get more value and more depth into my pictures and wasn't doing a good job of it, but was giving it a try. These two pictures, neither of them turned out the way that I was hoping. This was plein air, but This was supposed to be a fountain, but I couldn't get the movement, I couldn't get the depth, I couldn't get the contrasts of colors in the trees. I tried to add line work and just eventually gave up. This one, I was also trying to do something with the watercolor pencils, and again, really didn't like the textures of the pencils and the way that it came out. I was really unhappy with that. And then I went and did another tutorial, an online tutorial. This was for Plein Air April this year in 2024. And I really was enjoying trying to make loose gestures in my painting. Both of these, again, did not come out the way that I was hoping they would. I overworked the paper in both of them, was really struggling to get the dark values that I was looking for. Just didn't come across the way that I wanted to. And these were both just really quick sort of timed studies, again, from YouTube videos. Neither of them came out terribly well, but again, I was just trying to do very loose gestural work. These were plein air paintings of a UNESCO heritage site, and I was quite happy with how they turned out. Here I did a painting and then went over it at a later stage to give a little bit of texture with the watercolor pencils. And while I wasn't 100% happy with it, I kind of enjoyed the textures and the way that it came out. Then these two pictures were taken from reference photos from a trip to the seaside, and both of them were done with a mixture of watercolor and watercolor pencils to add some colors and depth and texture. Then here I was just playing around with the white gelato on a piece of black paper that I found. And this was a watercolor painting of a friend's dog. I had never tried to draw dogs before, paint dogs before, so I was quite happy with how that turned out for my first attempt. This was another painting where I had a big idea and everything went wrong along the way. And every time I tried to change course and try to fix the problem by doing something different, and I initially wanted this to be only watercolor. And then the village became such a shambled mess. I couldn't get any depth or any texture or any detail. And then I started outlining it, and then the colors were wrong. And then I started adding watercolor pencil, and then it looked like I was coloring it in. And in the end, I wasn't particularly happy with how it came out, but trial and error. These were plein air pictures that I did when I was visiting the zoo with my son. And these were all reference pictures that a friend sent me. Here I did a quick ink line sketch of the orchestra when I went to the symphony concert. And these were little plein air snippets that I did on a walk with a little bit of ink lining this was a foxglove, and just some of the view, and like this piece of ivy that was wound around the tree, the contrast of the little green grasshopper sitting on the yellow flower. I just tried to capture a few moments from the walk that I was on. These were also just me trying to capture some moments on a walk that I was taking. This was again with my water-soluble graphite pencil. I was trying to catch the images of the little village here in between the mountains, but I made so many marks and used so much water that one can't actually identify the little villages, so that was a bit of a fail. This was watercolor and watercolor pencil afterwards to add a little bit of texture into the flower. This was done during holidays. I was sitting on the rocks at a river and painting the river in front of me with the rocks and the water. I wish that I hadn't added the greenery around the outside because the water looked quite nice on its own. But all of this dark stuff around the edges, I think, was a bit much. But anyway. And then this was done off an Art Factor art class, online art class that I did. I really liked what I did here in the bottom with the rocks and the water, but I overworked the top of the painting here. It didn't work out the way that I was hoping, and I overworked it really badly, and so it didn't turn out the way that I was hoping. And then I decided that I really wanted to invest some energy and time into learning more about values and contrasts and shading and things like that. And so I signed up for a few online classes and started joining a couple of online live streams and meets. And for those, I used a separate sketchbook. And I started with this sketchbook. And so here I decided that instead of simply doing a sketch and then even if I wasn't happy with it, moving on to the next one, I wanted to fix what I was doing. And so here I was trying to catch the values. And initially I started like this. Here I went in while the paint was still too wet and blurred and smudged all of the lines and the colors. So I gave it another try, waiting for the layers to dry in between. But then I wasn't happy with how saturated and dark the color of the sky was. So then I went in again and I was more happy with how this one came out. And again here I initially tried this one and was really unhappy with it. I really overworked everything and it didn't come out at all the way that I was hoping. So I went in and gave that another try and was very, very happy with the way that it came out the second time. And then I did these 2 Landscape Art Club prompts from Instagram. Again, I was just trying to capture the shadows and the values in the pictures. And these were 2 very, very quick timed sketches that I did on a live stream with Evie Diva Doodles from YouTube. And I had quite a lot of fun. I've never tried timing myself properly before, and it was quite challenging to try and capture the essence of the scene in such a short space of time. Sorry, that is a cat's toy. Yeah, so I was quite surprised at how difficult it was to quickly capture the essence of the scene in such a short space of time. And that is up to where I'm at with my current sketchbooks. So I hope that you have enjoyed this sketchbook tour and seeing a complete and realistic beginner's progress with watercolor. I'm not a professional artist. I have no professional art training. This is just a creative person trying to enjoy and trying to learn watercolors. And so I hope that you can see my journey and enjoy it. So thank you very much for watching. Leave a comment down below. See you in the next video.